What's up, people? Hello and welcome back to the channel. This week we focus on one of the most historic and prestigious venues to grace the Premier League, a stadium as old as most clubs, older in fact than the club who calls it home. It's a nasty cauldron of ferocious hostility to any and all visitors, an awful place to go needing 3 points. The name itself strikes fear right into the heart of the opposition. That's right, it's Liverpool's Anfield Stadium in the spotlight of the week. The origins of this stadium can be traced all the way back to the 1850s, when it has been said that an influx of Irish people into the city of Liverpool brought with them the name of their beloved Anfield, an area outside of County Wexford in Ireland. The word itself actually means field on a slope, although I doubt that the field itself is actually sloped. The stadium opened in 1884, owned by John Orrell, friend of John Holding, who is a member of Everton Football Club. That's right, the very first game ever played at Anfield was a smashing 5-0 win for the Toffees in September of 1884. It would also play host to the England versus Ireland match of 1889 in the British Home Championship. The Blues of Merseyside plied their trade at Anfield all the way up to their league title in the 1890-91 season. Everton wanted to buy the land outright after this, but the negotiations soured, and Everton would move to Goodison Park. This left an empty stadium with no team to play there. There was only one option to be had, of course. Liverpool Football Club played their very first match on September 1st, 1892, in front of 200 spectators. By 1895, a main stand that could hold 3,000 fans had been built, and then came the Anfield Road End in 1903. Success brought another stand to the ground after the 1906 championship, and it would have a special name. It would also grow to become a very special spot in years to come. Named for a hill in South Africa that many Liverpudlians perished on in the Boer War, the Spion Kop was born, and around the same time they would build the Kimlin Road stand. 25 years later, the place was much the same, but the club would rebuild the Kop, increasing the capacity to 30,000 fans. That very same year, 1928, the mast of the SS Great Eastern was hauled up the Everton Valley and erected outside the Kop, where it still stands today, serving as a flagpole. On October 23rd, 1957, the floodlights at Anfield were turned on for the very first time. And 8 years on from this, it was the old Kimlin Road stand, replaced by a bigger stand to the tune of £350,000. Just 2 years later, the Anfield Road End would also receive some tender love and care, but in 1973, they redid the entire main stand. So much so that they had to close it down, but when they did reopen it, the Duke of Kent was on hand to commemorate the stand on March the 10th of 1973. 1982 saw the club pay tribute to manager and hero Bill Shankly by erecting gates named after him, along with the famous words, "You'll never walk alone," imprinted across the front. The Hillsborough disaster of 1989 resulted in the Taylor Report, and it had a major impact not only on Anfield, but grounds around the country as well. The report would lead to a new standard that all stadiums had to be converted to all-seater grounds. Many venues had areas where standing-only tickets were sold, but all clubs would have to comply by 1994. The Kimlin Road stand would get an expansion just before this and become double-tiered in 1992, but it would take negotiations with two rather stubborn land-owning sisters before this could happen. The famous Kop would have to then be redeveloped to meet the recommendations of the Taylor Report as well, and it brought the capacity down from 30,000 to 12,000, but it was now an all-seater stand. Since December 4th of 1997, Liverpudlians have been able to see Bill Shankly encased in bronze at the Visitors Center in front of the Kop. At first, the Hillsborough Memorial was also nearby, but it has been since moved in front of the main stand, and it is perpetually covered in memorials and tributes to the 97 lives lost in the disaster. The Anfield Road end would get a second tier in 1998, but there would be many complaints about the highest of seats swaying in the wind. Ruh-roh. They would have to do even more redevelopment to fix this in the 99-2000 season, of course. In 2020, a statue of Bob Paisley, another Liverpool hero, was unveiled outside the main stands, and the gates at the Kop are also named after Mr. Paisley, depicting the 3 European Cups he won in his time at the club. There were plans in the early 2000s to build a new stadium in Stanley Park next door, but due to a series of circumstances, including the 2008 economic crash and a change of ownership with the Fenway Group coming in, these plans would be scrapped. The Fenway Group decided that they would rather redevelop the existing Anfield, going on record saying that the atmosphere in the Kop could not be recreated anywhere else. Of course, the Kop is one of the more impressive single-tiered stands in the league, with the most fervent of fans congregating there. The Kopites, they're called, and usually as noisy as they come. The main stand is the oldest section of seating, dating all the way back to 1906. The tunnel from the locker rooms is underneath this stand, and just as you walk out, there's a sign that says, "This is Anfield." Many players would touch the sign for good luck as they exited the tunnel, and it also served to intimidate the opposition. However, when Jurgen Klopp took over, he forbade anyone to touch the sign until they won the Champions League in 2019. Mentality monsters indeed. Even Pep Guardiola and Jose Mourinho have mentioned the effect that the sign and, of course, the crowd can have on the games there at the stadium. The old Kimlin Road stand would be renamed in 1992 to the Centenary Stand when it was given a second tier to commemorate the 100-year anniversary of the club. In 2017, it would be renamed the Sir Kenny Dalglish Stand to commemorate yet another hero that I actually hadn't heard of until his stint on the sidelines not too long ago. And that just leaves the Anfield Road end, where the away fans sit. It's been double-tiered since 1998, and it's a literal hot seat for the opposition support who have to try and back their team amidst the storm of noise that is Anfield. The summer of 2016 saw the main stand redeveloped, and they have just recently finished additions to the Anfield Road end for the Manchester United game. This pushes the capacity to a whopping 61,000 screaming fans. All right, who's your favorite hat trick hero at Anfield? Let me know in the comments below. Is it Robbie Fowler versus Arsenal in '94 with a 4-minute triple? Peter Beardsley? Dirk Kuyt? Peter Crouch? Maybe it's Gerrard against Everton in 2012. Anfield has, of course, hosted many classics, not least of all that amazing night that some may claim is the greatest night in the stadium's history. They would overturn a horrific first leg loss to the Catalan giants Barcelona, as I'm sure you remember. I still shake my head in shock and awe considering that match to this day. The Anfield factor certainly shocked Messi and the gang that night. And who can forget last season's absolute demolition 7-0 of their most hated rivals, Manchester United. Many thought that was what United were in for again in their most recent clash at Liverpool's famous ground. The fear that just seeing Liverpool away on the team sheet produces for most teams is intense. I myself have plenty of trauma that I'd rather not discuss watching Arsenal go there in recent years. Not least of all last time out. It seems that on occasion, the crowd need a spark to get going. Look, if you're 2-0 up, don't go pushing fan favorites and riling up the supporters. It costs you titles. Trust me. Most teams make their home ground a fortress, and it is, of course, the foundation upon which any successful season is built. Liverpool are known for going long stretches unbeaten at home. In fact, I believe they're on one currently. It may be pushing 30 games unbeaten there, if I'm not mistaken. It's certainly going to take something special to overcome Klopp and the gang, as well as the ridiculous cacophony threatening to overwhelm at any moment. It's definitely a sign of champions to go and get a win in that cauldron. No greater respect can be placed upon a particular stadium in my book. Well, there you have it. This has been another spotlight of the week here at the Cup Chasers podcast. Go ahead and get the likes up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're on the road to 200 subscribers. And of course, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And you will see me next time.